Hi guys, it's Russ from AndroidExperiment.com, and in this screencast we're going to cover installing Eclipse and getting it configured to work with the Android SDK and Development Toolkit. Now the first thing to do is actually get Eclipse installed. So head on over to www.eclipse.org, visit Downloads, and we want the Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Now I am on a Mac and it's 64-bit. So I'm going to get the 64-bit version. It's going to give you the fastest mirror, so you can pick your mirror. It's suggesting the Czech Republic for me, so grab that. Then we're going to need the SDK from Android, so visit developer.android.com. Head on over to the SDK section. Now again, I am on a Mac, so I'll be clicking this link. But Windows users, I recommend you get the .exe, or Linux, the tar.gunzip. Now, like all good cookery shows, here's one I prepared earlier. I've actually downloaded them already because you don't want to watch me download 150 megs of data. It's quite boring. So let's crack on. Now, the first thing to do is get Eclipse installed. So it's just a compressed archive. So I'm going to extract that. Windows users, you'll probably get a .exe file that you use with a normal installer that you're already familiar with. So for me, I've got an Eclipse directory full of goodies, so I'm now going to drag that to my applications directory. That's how we install things on Macs. That should now be installed there. Let's have a look. Eclipse, yep, there it is. All good. Now, to get the SDK installed, again, if you're on Windows, you would have just selected the exe file and ran that like a normal installer. On the Mac or Linux, you have the file that you have to extract and place where you want it. I like to keep development things in a bin directory, so I'm going to copy it here, and again, just extract it to my bin directory. Move that there, let's change the view. So here's the extracted directory, and that contains all kinds of Android SDK goodies. So now that we've got Eclipse installed, and we've got the Android SDK installed, it's time to get Eclipse up and running, install the ADT plugin, and get it configured to work with the SDK. So to the applications directory, to the Eclipse directory, and let's launch Eclipse. Now, Mac asks you, it's an application downloaded from the internet. Are we sure? Of course we're sure. And as you can see, Eclipse now starts up. The first time it does this, it does take a little while to sort itself out. So just be patient. Okay, now, Eclipse has a workspace where you keep all your projects in, and by default on the Mac it suggests the Documents folder. I think it's My Documents if you're on Windows. I like the default location, and I don't want it to ask me again, so that's fine. I suggest you guys do the same. It's a fairly standard practice. And this is Eclipse up and running. Very cool. So, tutorials, samples, there's all kinds of things. It's on the home page. So let's crack and open the workbench, and now this is Eclipse. So, what we want to do is we want to go to Help, Install New Software. I want to add a site. Now, for the location, you want the Android Eclipse location from Google. And I'm going to call this ADT plugin. This will be more explained on the blog, but Basically, this location is where Google keep all their Eclipse plugins. So there we go, you just bang that in, and now Eclipse will scoot on over there and check what plugins are available, pending. This might take a little while. Okay, so you can see it's found the Android development tools, so we're going to click and install all of them. So we're going to go to next. Okay, review the items. Yes, I'm very happy with that. The licenses, accept all the license agreements, and finish. And now it will head on over and actually download and install all the software. So expanding the details so I can watch it as it happens. Here we go. Almost at 50%. This is fine. We're okay with that error message. It's not even an error message, it's just a warning. So now it asks us to restart Eclipse, so we are going to do that. Click quickly restart now. Okay, so we're back in Eclipse, and we've got the ADT, the Android Development Toolkit, installed. Now, it's realised that we haven't actually configured the SDK Platform Tools location. We installed it earlier, that was the step 2, but we now have to tell Eclipse where that directory is. So we're going to open the SDK Manager. Okay, it's discovered already. You can see here, Rust bin Android SDK, so it's discovered where we'd installed the SDK to earlier. It's very clever like that. And it suggested something for us to install. Now, you can choose which version of Android you want to develop for. For this time round, I'm just going to choose 4.03, which is the latest API. I do want the Android platform tools installed. So basically make sure the top lot are selected. Let's have a look in extras. Okay, that's extra things. We won't cover that just yet. So I want to install all 8 of these packages. And in fact, it's going to update the version of the Android SDK as well to revision 19. So let's click install. I'm going to accept this, accept all, and install. So now it's going to go ahead, grab the bits we need, and install them. So this is dead easy. Okay, it's finally downloaded everything. It's upgraded the SDK and the ADT manager. It wants us to do one more run through, so we're going to click OK. It's downloading the packages, so cool, finally we are here. That is all good. So now we've finished configuring, and as you can see, installing the ADT SDK. Now, close that. To get back there, you can just go to Window, and you've got the Android SDK manager, the ADT manager, and the Android lint. So we're going to go back to the SDK manager. Open it again. See, this is the window we were just at. It's now refreshing itself. Just checking to make sure that we're on the latest version. And yeah, we're all good. So that is how you install Eclipse, the Android SDK, and the Android Developer Toolkit, and get them all happily working with each other. Before we go, we visit the Eclipse preferences, and you'll see here are the Android preferences. And this is where we configure the location of the SDK. So if yours is in a different place, or if something did go wrong, or you want to move it, this is where you change the location. Then you just click on OK, save the settings. Cool, well, it's been a blast. I've now got Eclipse up and running, so I'm going to start developing, and I hope you guys will too. Cool. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure. Russ. http://www.androidexperiment.com. Bye.